Did you know?
What's going on, everyone? I'm Heath,
And I'm Jay.
and you're listening to Host of Horror, show where we discuss and review horror films based off of predetermined themes of the month. Jay!
So we're gonna look at my namesake today, guys. We're in a new month. Well, yeah, we're in a new month.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're in a new theme.
Woo!
This theme is actually gonna involve. That was a lot of spit that just came out.
Gross.
I mean, not as gross as this film. So this month is going to be,
Summer camp.
you know, the classic summer camp feeling. You know, you're going
that
to go,
trope.
you're going to you're like between like 9 and 15. You get to go out to like camp and like, you know, sip on that bug juice, play in a river, have fun with your friends, maybe have a little camp romance, all of that good stuff.
Did you ever go to a camp?
I did actually, like
Really?
one time.
I never went to a summer camp.
I've always wanted to, but I think it's also because like it was always romanticized.
Yeah.
I guess. So where it's like, oh yeah, go to the summer camp, it's fun. You get like all this show romance and all of that.
Well,
you get to like have fun with like like-minded friends and people get to play all these like cool activities and stuff. So I was like, yeah, cool, I want to go.
Yeah, it was a big thing in the 90s. Like, us 90 kids, it was summer camp. Like, you saw TV shows and movies all about summer camp and how much fun you would have. And growing up doing all the summer camp. I never went to a summer camp. What I did was there was 1 week where we went to Taekwondo camp. It doesn't count. That is not a summer camp.
See, the only time I went to a real summer camp was like when I was like in like I think 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah.
Everything else is me going to like church camp and shit.
Ew.
Right?
Ew. They need to make a horror movie about church camp.
Honestly, I don't think we need a horror film because all of the documentaries already talk about the horror.
They're already there, and it's called real life.
Yo, yeah. So we don't need to talk about this.
So-
but what we are going to talk about today is my namesake, Jay.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Kind of. So, last episode, you were actually really excited about this movie because you wanted to see the origin of Jason Voorhees.
And
Did you get what you were expecting?
No. I got something else. But like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It works. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, so we are talking about the Sean S. Cunningham directed 1980 film Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
And my beautiful little steel book.
Kill her, mommy. Kill her.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, you have this awesome pop sign. Tell us your story about it.
So it is a pop signed by Kane Harder, who plays Jason in some of the later films.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But today
proud of
we're
this.
talking about the original.
The original that has nothing to do with Jason Voorhees.
Well, it has something to do with Jason Voorhees.
Barely.
But this. Okay, so basically, Friday the 13th has nothing to do with Friday the 13th at all. It's just kind of like
It's on Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
It's just. Oh God.
No, see, and the thing is they mention
that's fucked up.
They mention that it's on Friday the 13th and a full moon is out. In this film, the other films, they don't give a shit.
They don't.
It's just an IP at that point.
It is weird that most like horror films now, you can literally do a whole series of movies and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, just gonna ignore all of everything else and just go with it. Like, it's so wild how that happens and how common it is in horror films.
No, this franchise alone has one of the weirdest histories ever. So, spoiler alert, the first movie, there is no Jason until the very end, and that was a last-minute fucking decision for one final jump scare. It's all about his mother, who is the killer, which there's some continuity issues and some plot holes revolving the fact that Mrs. Voorhees is the killer and not a grown-ass man like Jason would have been. So anyway, but then you have the second, the third film, and the fourth. Second, third, and fourth film, where it's Jason, but he's a normal dude. He's kind of like this hermit, hillbilly, lives out in the woods kind of guy. There's nothing supernatural about him. Then you have, I want to say it's the fifth film. It's either the fifth or the sixth film. One of those. But Jason isn't even Jason Voorhees. It's another guy who's taking over the Jason Voorhees mask. Like he's got the hockey mask and everything, but it's not Jason Voorhees. It's some pissed off dad.
Pissed off father?
Yeah, it's some pissed off dad. So like it's a weird story. So there's these kids and they're in this like little home for like the damaged children, what have you, whatever. And there's this one kid that provokes this other kid, and this other kid had enough of it and kills him with an axe. This ambulance driver comes, picks up the kid, looks at his face and goes, and that's the last you see of him. Next thing you know, fucking Jason comes out of nowhere and starts killing people. End of the movie, it's not fucking Jason. It was the ambulance driver who went, and it was actually the father of the kid that died.
What?
Yeah, weird.
And I thought this movie's weird.
And then I want to say it's the seventh film. It's whatever. It's Jason Lives. Whichever fucking one is that, where they actually bring Jason back to life via Frankenstein magic. Like one of the characters stabs Jason with like this metal rod to kill him once and for all. Lightning strikes and boom. That's where we get zombie unkillable Jason. Who goes to space and turns into a weird little worm, possession worm, and fights Freddy.
What in the Jump the Shark?
There's so many Jump the Shark moments in this film. He even fights fucking Carrie.
What?
Yeah, it's called The New Blood, and it's actually one of my favorites. It's knockoff Carrie. It's like Great Value Carrie. Because it's not Carrie, but she has the powers of Carrie. So it's essentially Carrie versus Jason.
See,
and it's so entertainingly amazing.
See, I'm a bigger fan of Freddy versus Jason. So that is my first exposure to the Friday the 13th series is through a Freddy versus Jason. And my God, what a wild ride that is.
I like Freddy versus Jason now.
It was funny.
For an early 2000s horror film, it's fun.
It's fun.
But
and this first film, seeing how it all started, I don't understand how, but you know what? It was still kind of a fun ride. Not even gonna lie. So, not even gonna lie, can't even remember half the characters' names, but like
I don't think they like mentioned their name. I remember hearing a Jack at one point.
It was like a Jack, a Bill, a Brenda, a Steve.
Alice is our final girl.
Alice. And that's all I really remember.
Yeah.
It's like...
Oh, Ralph. Can't forget about Ralph. Crazy Ralph. Hiding in
Ralph.
Pantries and whatnot.
Oh, my God. So, basically, it's this, it's a slasher. It's almost as stereotypical. It's one of those iconic slashers where, everybody gets picked off one by one. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that kind of, I'm not going to say pissed me off, but it made me like, bruh, is that the way that the film acted is that one person is going to be like the main antagonist, not antagonist, the main protagonist of the film.
Oh, you mean the cook?
The cook.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she's gone. And you're just like, oh.
Yeah, because you start the film off with her walking around town trying to hitchhike to Crystal Lake. So the first character you're even introduced to after you get the introduction kill is this I don't even remember her name. It was the chef.
All I know is she was supposed to be the cook, and people warned her multiple times not to go because of the stories, including Ralph. And the stories involved including the intro kill, which was, oh yeah, these camp counselors are having a little bonfire, I think. Or they're inside. They're inside.
They were like playing music, doing kumbaya shit.
Yeah, and then these couple goes out to try to make out and fucking shit.
Yeah,
and somebody comes and kills them, and all of that stuff. So
sex equals murder,
which is something that we've noticed that is a common theme all throughout a lot of the movies we watch. And considering this is the 80s. This doesn't surprise me whatsoever. This is like in 1980, so like they filmed this in like the late 70s.
79. They started filming it right after Halloween. So
So it's really close.
how this film was made. So Halloween came out in 1978. Sean S. Cunningham was like amazed that this film made so much money off of the little premise that it had, and was like, you know what, I can do that. And you know what would be an amazing movie? Friday the 13th. And everyone, producers, friends, writers, all looked at it and was like, oh, that's a really good title. What's the story? Well, I don't have one.
They're like, I don't know. What's the story? We're gonna figure it out throughout production. And he's like, oh.
No, his first thing was so he backed a lot of money to make the Friday the 13th title, what we see in the beginning of the film.
Like the title card?
Yeah, he put that in magazines and newspapers. And that's how he made money to make the film. He didn't even have a fucking script. He just had that title.
You mean to tell me that this title card is just didn't even exist. It didn't even exist. It was just like this Friday the 13th title card was just like looks like standard 1980s fare, and it looks 80s AF. Like, if you want to be real. And that's how he was able to get it based off the title alone. Mm-hmm. He must have been charismatic AF. And he had to like do a lot of favors in order to get this film financed.
Another fun fact is he was friends, and I want to say either he was roommates or he lived in the same building as Wes Craven.
What the hell are we doing?
Nothing with our lives.
What are we doing?
We are talking about movies.
We need to make them.
Evidently, it was easier in the 70s. I know a lot of talented people that try to make movies and it never happens.
Anyway,
so this motherfucker made a movie without a script, and you can tell watching this film there is so many sequences of nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's pranks. There's it literally looks like, okay, so
teenage debauchery.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, we just killed this person. What do we do now? I don't know. Let's do a prank involving water. Okay, that sounds good. Let's kill this person. Okay, now what do we do? Strip Monopoly. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, we're gonna kill this person. Now what do we do? I don't know. Snakes are scary. Let's have a snake.
Yeah, and you know what? I guess we have a final girl now. Oh, she's the last one. I guess we gotta show everybody else now.
And the funny thing is, so props to the special effects makeup, because that is really what makes this movie. It is so good. It is so good. We will get to that.
That's where the budget went to.
Yes. Tom Savini was actually doing it. You know who Tom Savini is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. His friend was actually the killer before the reveal. So anytime you see hands, or, you know, some like in the earlier kills, when you see like a hand grab Mr. Kevin Bacon's face and then stab him, that's actually a grown man's hands.
Kevin Bacon's hands got murked.
Yeah.
And
I can't remember his name, but it's the guy that helped Tom Savini in this film.
Wow.
So literally, he's the killer until
the reveal happens.
Until the reveal happens. Which makes so much more sense that a grown ass. So
this film is like, it feels like very much so sequence of unfortunate events that just happened based off around this rumor, confirmation that people have killed and people died in this camp, and then you have this one dude that's trying his best to open it back up, and bad idea, dog.
Bad idea. Mrs. Voorhees has words for you.
Has a bone to pick, and a lot more than just bones, I see.
Yeah, and her motivation is, I wouldn't say weird. I get it. You know, her son drowned because camp counselors were not paying attention. And she goes a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, just a little bit, just a tiny bit, you know, speaking to herself as little Jason's voice. But yeah, no, she's making sure that this one camp never opens again. So children won't die at the hands of lackluster supervision. But there's other camps around America. You're solely focusing on this one camp, and you're killing people to prevent killings.
You know, the logic, as, you know, Swiss cheese as it is, I can see it.
I mean, it's sort of there.
Cheese,
it is there.
But you're right, there are other camps, and honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that they're, you know, dying, and that's a lot of power that Mrs. Voorhees may or may not have.
No, she was buff until she had to actually fight. No, because she was no. What? That's the one thing that aggravates me is like you're expecting me, this itty bitty woman, this what's her name, Betsy Palmer. You expect me to see a 50 to 60-year-old tiny woman to lift a grown ass man and nail him to a door, throw a dead body through a window. Yet Alice, with a pan, is able to push her down and run away.
I don't know, but dog, that was a cast iron pan.
Okay,
ain't no
all right.
cast irons. They can pack and punch. No
Even before that, she was pushing her down with ease.
You're true, but I just feel like at that point it's like, oh crap, we have to fight.
Which there's a funny
gotta fight.
There's a funny story behind that. So
oh my god,
the first time they filmed it, they didn't have any choreography. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and evidently it looked like shit. So Tom Savini and his friend, who were, I want to say like LARPers, you know, whatever LARPing was back in the day before it had a term, they actually knew how to sword fight. So they choreographed the fight to make it look a little bit more pleasing.
You know what? I applaud this film for being like guerrilla filmmaking in its finest.
Yeah,
because they were like, it's almost like let's make a movie, except let's make it good. There's like, oh, we can make a movie right doing it, but it feels like they knew what they were doing, but didn't know what they were doing at the same time.
No, they didn't know what they were doing.
It's not like these newer films that were like, oh, we literally don't know what we're doing. And we don't know how to fix it either. Like, they at least knew how to fake it.
Actually, my whole thing is there's movies nowadays where obviously they have good technique. They just made a shit movie. Where this is like, they had no idea what the fuck they were doing. There just so happened to be some talented people that they picked up along the ride.
Yeah, like...
Because Tom Savini and Betsy Palmer make this movie.
They literally make this movie
100%.
Just
and
like
they
old girl made Blood Rage. Was it Louis, the mother?
Oh, I don't remember her name, but yeah.
But yeah, no, she made the movie.
Yeah.
I hate that I keep on
Rage.
referencing Blood Rage because my god,
Blood Rage is gonna end up right now. I have it like in the middle of my list as far as like movies we watched this year. Well, it will go to the top. It's gonna be number one.
It might end up like we keep on bringing it up because my god.
But Betsy Palmer almost didn't make this film.
What was the reason?
She thought it was absolute garbage. She read the script, thought it was shit.
There was a script.
There was a script. They did hire
improv everything.
They did have they improved quite a bit, but there was a formula, there was a script that someone wrote, and Betsy Palmer thought it was absolute fucking garbage. The only reason she agreed to do this film, her vehicle broke down shortly before shooting started, and Mama needed a new car.
You know what? That is honestly fair because I'll do the exact same thing. Like, oh, I guess I am part of this movie now. And I guess they'll just happen to be near. Like, she just happened to be near set and just like, oh.
No, they wanted her. So Betsy Palmer had never done a role like this where she was the villain.
Oh.
So to make the plot twist of, because when you watch the film and subsequent films before this, it was always, a man that was the killer. Either a burly man or that sleazy man. But it was always a man. And if it ever was the female that was the killer, it was the conniving, scheming kind of kills, not really the brutal kills that we see in this film.
Yeah.
So to have a person, an actress of her caliber, Betsy Palmer, to come in as the killer, fucking twist. And it's a good twist. It actually is really good until you start poking holes and shit.
I mean, the holes are already there, but it's the talent for me.
Yeah,
It's the
no,
talent for me that
she
made it.
fucking when she starts talking in the Jason voice and then answering, that right there, her whole little spill. When she comes on screen, even though she swears she hates this film to this day, hated this film, she fucking killed it.
I agree.
She knew the assignment and she did
understood
that shit.
the assignment, and
She
maybe
Matthew
passed.
Lillard that shit.
She passed with flying colors. My God, no, she passed with flying colors because I feel like the other actors, I feel like were either like in their early 20s or like actual teenagers, and they were just kind of there, like the little story that they had, which that's the reason I feel like we haven't talked about the story because it's barely there.
Story. We're trying to open a camp.
It's barely there,
and someone doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah,
there's your story.
That's it. And it's just like everything else makes it for me. Everything else, the story, the script, poo trash, tomato. But everything else, like the talent, the acting, the cinematography, like everything else, the special effects. That's what makes this movie, and I think that's why it's so iconic as a slasher.
I do like that they incorporated the camera being the killer, like the camera being the eyes of the killer. I do like that. I know why they did that, because they needed to add suspense. They needed to
budget.
They needed to add something to the film.
And you know what's also funny? It's just like after that intro kill, like everything just like zoomed in on on this lady's face, and then bam, I was like, this is budget. You can tell with the way the kills were done. A lot of the kills were done, like especially with Steve. Steve's kill was just like, and then you just knew.
A lot of the kills where you focus on the person and then it like does a cutaway and then it cuts back to them, but the camera is now further away from where it was to begin with, and then you see the kill. You see the gore.
Either that or it gets revealed later.
Yeah.
That you just know because you don't see him. Like one of the kids, like after like I think two of them went off to like have sex and whatnot or try to fuck. There's one other one that went to the same one and just kind of like was all like, "Oh yeah, you're there," and you don't see him for the rest of the time. And he gets revealed later.
He sees someone in the cabin and he goes to check it out, and that's it.
That's
Done.
it.
He's gone for the rest of the film until you see his dead body.
And while it was revealed while old girl and Kevin Bacon are out here doing hanky panky, the camera goes up and then bam, dead body.
Which I don't know how they didn't smell that.
Honestly, I don't know. Maybe teenage horny pheromones. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, once a dead body's dead, it starts releasing all the stuff that's inside your bowels.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, man.
They would have smelled.
They would have smelled a dead body.
But anyway, it made for a really good jump scare, because you're expecting the kill to come from up top. Or you're not expecting an under the bed kill.
No.
Whatsoever. And when fucking Kevin Bacon lights up a joint, having his good little time, he's like, fuck yeah, after sex joint. And a little bit of blood drops on his head, and he's like, the fuck, and boom, hand comes out of nowhere, grabs his head, got that arrow go through the throat.
Ooh.
Dude, the gore effects in this film are gorgeous. Loved it. Fucking loved it. Oh, that was so good.
And you know what's funny? The only jump scare I had that actually got me for a second was Steve's. And that was just I just wasn't, I don't know why, I just wasn't expecting it. And it just kind of came out of nowhere, just like, oh! And I was like, oh.
Which one's Steve's?
He was the older dude.
Yeah, but what was the scare?
It was literally just like the split second of his reaction going like, ah, and the music is going, ah. And that's the only part that actually got me, but it was also just like for a split second.
The music also makes this film, because it does the little just that alone, you hear that, and it's the first thing you hear too. The film opens up with in camp, and there's this camera walking around as kids are sleeping in the camp, and that's the first note of music you hear, is the and that just makes those moments like you have a stagnant camera just moving around, boring. You add something as iconic as that piece of music, it just elevates it to
Oh, yeah.
unnervingness.
It makes it to where you are actually standing on the edge of your seat. And you know what, though? I want to talk about the final fight for a little bit because Miss Girl, what's her name? Alice.
Alice.
She did one. As human as a reaction to all of this is, the one thing I wish she would have done different was that, like, I just kind of wish that, like, she didn't put. I know what she was trying to do with like putting everything behind the door,
Oh
but
my
that
God.
wasn't really the best way to go
No.
about it. I get it, you're in a panic, but like you did the rope. The rope was a good idea, girl.
And it was a good idea,
But then you put everything else there.
Oh my
Only
God.
thing it would have done is Trip did it for a Trip, and I'm like, okay, maybe Trip's done for a little bit. I get it, but
or just step over it.
I mean, depending on how tall the motherfucker is, yeah.
That,
We'll
and
step over it.
obviously, so she sees a vehicle, and that's obviously the only door. So you're not just So the door opens from the outside, not the inside. That's why she did the little rope thing. Makes sense. But when you barricade a door, your only means of escape, you're not helping yourself
No,
whatsoever. The rope, yeah, sure, that's perfectly fine. But barricading everything behind a door for no fucking reason made no sense. Made no sense. Because she
But-
literally had to move all that shit just to leave, just to go outside.
oh yeah. But however, this same like fight did end up with my favorite kill with the beheading. That was a great time.
Yeah.
That was a great time.
Know what's crazy about that?
What?
So the same dude that played, basically was Mrs. Voorhees without the face. He was the guy. So basically, like, he had his head under the shirt,
Yeah.
and he had a severed head right there.
Uh-huh.
But someone had to swing a machete at that dude.
And he couldn't see anything.
He couldn't see anything. He just had to, don't kill me.
There was a lot of trust put in this film, in the crew of this film. There was a lot of trust. A lot of trust that I feel like, I don't know, couldn't have been done any other way.
Mm-mm.
But at the same time, I'm just like, I thought that was a great kill.
No, it was a great kill. It's an amazing kill, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have someone swing a machete at me.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That was another good reveal. Bill.
Oh,
I think you have another one, but I liked
I do.
Bill's
I
reveal
do.
mainly because of the backstory behind the Bill reveal.
Okay.
So Alice is, running away, yada, yada, yada. Or no, she's looking for Bill. That's what it is. Looking for Bill. Shuts the door, and Bill's posted up on the door with, like, arrows through his body, and one specifically through his eye. Which the fake blood blinded him in that eye for about 6 months.
Wait a minute. Oh, that eye. Okay, that part. I honestly thought that was just a dead body, like a fake body. I didn't know they literally posted him up there.
That was him.
Oh, wow.
That was the actor. And they put fake blood around there, and it got in his eye, and he was blind in that eye for about 6 months.
I would sue.
Right?
I would sue, but I guess it's all in the name of film. I
Also,
suppose.
back in the day, I don't think he probably would have lost.
Probably would be like,
It's
oh,
not
you
it's
asked
not
for
like
it.
it's not like these days where small people could end up winning. You got a big production studio with big boy lawyers, and then you're just a nobody actor.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, he would have lost. He should have sued though.
He
Should have
should've.
at least tried.
Yeah, I do. I think my favorite, part, it wasn't really a kill. Well, the reveal was at the very end. After Alice, she gets on the boat and then basically sleeps in the boat. And you see all the policemen be like, hey, trying to get her attention.
Hey, dumb bitch, look at us.
Oh, she wakes. God damn it. She wakes up all cool and all that. And then all of a sudden, you see like whoosh in the water. And granted, this is like all like juxtaposed against like this beautiful music that's like reminiscent of spring, like, morning time, but just glisten. And then all of a sudden you see her and everything just kind of like,
Yeah,
she gets thrown into the water
by Jason,
by Jason.
little
This
dead boy in the water.
ugly ass, dead ass boy, bald as fuck. And then it goes down, down, down. And then jump cut to a screaming Alice in the hospital. And then everybody's all like, what do you mean there's a boy in there?
Yeah,
Like,
she's
we
like,
fished you out.
no, the boy's there. No, the boy is still there. Jason, he's still there.
And then you look at the camera. Well, I don't think she spiked the camera. She looked at the camera, and then all you see is just water. And the last thing you see is toot, toot,
Yep. Which, I don't like that.
toot. Like, it,
I don't like the hospital ending. I do like the Jason ending, which they kind of just threw that in for one final jump scare.
I feel like they could have kept it at that.
Yeah, like honestly, imagine how more terrifying that would have been, where it's not this fake dream. I get it. They're like, Jason's still there trying to set up for sequels, things like that.
I smell a franchise.
Yeah, which it did turn into a franchise. But just imagine, like, you're watching the film. It's this all good, happy ending movie. You're like, okay, yeah, this is good. Boom, Jason drags that bitch underwater, done.
And he's like, oh.
End of film.
Man, I do hate, but love films like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but it gets me.
I love it.
It gets me.
I love it. It would have, because it's already an iconic ending to a horror film. Like this is, I mean, you see it in videos. You see, it's iconic. You know, it's one of those things you think of when you think of Friday the 13th. Is that kill alone? Mainly because a lot of people associate Friday the 13th with Jason, obviously, and a lot of people get the fact that, I mean, even you thought this film was going to have Jason, not Pamela.
But you know what, though? It's kind of giving the same energy as how Halloween was supposed to be like more of an anthology, but they're like, oh, Michael Myers is really big. So they just kind of went with that. I feel like they kind of didn't really know what to do after, so they were just like, oh, we have to make a face to the name.
Well, the best case in point is a film we've already done is the sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street. That was supposed to be a one-off. Wes Craven wanted the one-off, yet producers made it to where Freddy had that final kill, and Freddy is still alive, and we can make sequels. And then like a year later, they made a sequel that is unlike any other Nightmare on Elm Street movie ever. Because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They didn't know they didn't know how to continue. They just knew, hey, we can make money off this.
It feels like they're looking at money instead of like establishing like rules per se. Like there are rules that they could have done, that they could have said to make sure that everything is more cohesive. But this is also back when like cohesiveness was a luxury. Having a cohesive story, oh, that's for the birds. Let's give spectacle. Let's give blockbuster. Let's give, jump scares and shit. So I don't think they really gave a shit about that. They were just focused on money. And what?
I mean, this whole movie was made because, hey, Friday the 13th, that would make money.
And it's like, it's weird because, like, and aside from, like, Nightmare on Elm Street, which is, like, you can attach that to, like, oh, New Line Cinema, that's their baby. I don't really know if there's anything you can attach to Friday the 13th. It just is.
Yeah.
Like, as a franchise, it just exists. There's not really much of a tie to a studio.
Well, Halloween's the same way. It's not really tied to a studio that you think of off the top of your head. The only reason Friday Nightmare on Elm Street is so attached to New Line Cinema is because if it wasn't for that film, we wouldn't have New Line Cinema. Like, it wouldn't exist. So that I feel like that's the main reason you think
it kind of existed, I guess, but
no.
It wasn't really the way that it is now.
The dude was literally selling VHS tapes in his trunk.
Talk about a hustler.
Like he wasn't. It wasn't a studio whatsoever. He had to beg. He had to fight tooth and nail just to have Nightmare on Elm Street made.
Fair. That is indeed fair.
So I feel like that's the main reason you associate Freddy with that New Line.
It's kind of like how Freddy is like so attached to New Line, the way that a lot of the Universal monsters are, attached to Universal. So I get that. With like stuff like Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees, there's not really much of a studio you can attach it to. Like this one was. And I guess you can say the same. That was like kind of the same vibe for a lot of the 70s and 80s slashers anyway. That they were just kind of like a lot of them I feel like were just passion projects that were either made for the purpose of like, oh, we can make money off of this, or it's like, oh, I just really want to do a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
And slashers just happen to be honestly the cheapest way.
Horror in general is the cheapest movie to make.
Yeah. I don't know. That's wild to me. But yeah. So
it's easier to scare people with nothing.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you could point a camera at a dark room where you can't see shit, and people's imaginations will scare them. You don't have to do much to make a good horror movie.
Which is wild. I guess is with all of these like, different horror movies that are made for like less than $100,000 or so, and then they turn out to be making like multi-million-dollar films and stuff. You're just like, oh,
yeah,
this is wild. It's just wild to me.
Yeah.
So, shit.
Final thoughts, because I mean, there's
not really much else to talk about.
Beautiful kills.
Beautiful kills.
Story, meh. Be honest, like I like every other film after this one. This one is just okay.
It's a start. It's giving Hellraiser in a way to where it's like,
yeah.
I don't really remember much, but like what I do remember is like it's good, but it's like I don't remember much other than that,
Yeah, no.
And it just kind of goes a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But at least was it Hellraiser? Or it didn't end up like into some kind of what the fuck thing. This one at least had even though I didn't care much about the ending, is sensible enough to where it's like, okay, you can swoop in and make something new out of it. Instead of just like going so high up, you're just like, I don't know what the fuck else to do.
Yeah, so it basically they just like set up for a sequel where Hellraiser was just, I don't know what the fuck Hellraiser did.
Me neither.
Homeless Jesus turns into dragon.
Yeah, no, it was weird.
Very weird.
Very weird. But what I'll give it as a rating, about a 2.5, 3.
2.5, 3. I'm going with 3. Even 3.
Even 3. Yeah, it's mid. As I say, it's mid. It's iconic. It established a long-running franchise, probably my namesake. But it's just kind of like,
Oh, the kills are so good. That's the main thing, is the kills are so good.
And we get a young Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon. You see his butt in this one too.
You get to see Kevin Bacon butt.
Getting grabbed. He got ass grabbed.
So I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. If you thought seeing his penis in a Hollow Man was good, wait till you see ass grab. Oh, you didn't see Hollow Man with us.
Oh God, I didn't know there was a whole penis in there.
Yeah. You get to see Kevin Bacon's bacons.
Wow, not his bacon bits.
Yeah. Kevin Bacon's bits.
Okay, I had to say it.
All right.
So
yeah, average 3.
Average 3. Yeah.
Average 3. Good film. Good film.
What's the next film we're watching?
Next film is, I guess you would say, slightly controversial, especially nowadays. But I still kind of like it. We are going to be talking about 1983's Sleepaway Camp.
All right, so my funny story, my sister was watching this a while ago, and then I was like, oh wait, I'm watching this for the podcast, so I'm staying away from it until we watch it. So I'm going in relatively blind. I know like a few spots, but I don't really know much about what's going on. So I'm excited to see what's gonna be. I haven't really heard much about Sleepaway Camp.
I watched this years ago when I was still living with my folks, so it's been quite a while. I remember all the kills. I remember the iconic ending, but like the little mid pieces, like I don't remember much about the story.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, and I got a cool little box set, so we're gonna check it out.
Ooh,
yeah.
All right.
So join us next week as we will be watching Sleepaway
Camp.
Make sure if you like the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe bell and notifications, all that good shit.
And, always follow us on social media.
Yeah.
So we also have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of the works. Still working on TikTok, but we also have Letterboxd.
Woo!
Which is so underrated, y'all.
Yeah.
Everybody just needs
Letterboxd is the way to go.
Everybody needs to get a Letterboxd. And are also on audio platforms such as Spotify, Apple, Google, and wherever your podcasts are, shown at wherever you listen to your podcast at.
So, but until next time, I've been Heath.
And I've been Jay.
And you've been listening to
Host of
Horrors. Bye.